Hey, welcome to the stream. Something different and special today. You're joining me on day 17 of my advent calendar of beer and gaming, and I pulled a creative today. So normally and I still may do this. I may just do some doodles and some mandalas that I normally draw for that. But you know what? I had this idea for doing a live reading of one of my favorite series in the whole world. So we're going to kick it off with a little bit of Steve Jackson and some fighting fantasy and Citadel of Chaos, which is I have not read this one before. Those not familiar with the series, there's a whole line of them. This is number two, right behind Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, which was number one, obviously, but pretty awesome book. So we're going to get into this. Let me explain a little bit of the format of the stream. As you can see, put some time into this overlay. We got here on the right-hand side of the screen is our character sheet, and we'll be rolling for our stats shortly. Some skill, stamina, and luck. I've already pre-populated the gear and loot section, as well as some of the spells that will be available to us during the course of this this playthrough. So you'll also see that we have a along the top is just my information, followers and donations and all that other jazz, typical to Twitch streams. Along the bottom, though, 2 points of notice. One, you'll see a big white circle. That's the crystal ball. That's the diviner's globe, in which we will be seeing various things happen. Oops, they passed a little bit too far. And this game does require us to roll some dice, and I've got a little setup here that allows us to see what those dice rolls are for some random determination. And likewise, I've got a little bookmark icon down at the bottom. Now, at various points, I'm going to have to pause the game, or put the book down, essentially, from reading it here to typing a few things in. We can live update our stats and gear and loot as we get to those things. And I'll actually throw a physical bookmark into the book. The other part of this, though, is that if at any point we figure we want to stop the cast for any reason, we're going to update the page number that we're on, or if we think there's a really risky choice to be made, we can also bookmark a page there and then come back to it. But hopefully we're just going to do this as a one-shot, a read-through. We're going to try to make the best choices. I'm going to throw choices out to you, Twitch, where we go, because this is a special kind of book. If you've never seen this before, this is a multiple path multiple path adventure book. So it's not read from start to finish. What it is, and you'll see this very quickly, there's all these on each page. There's essentially numbered entries, and I'll read the entry. We'll make a choice, and the next choice, actually, it will get us to the choice we make will take us to a new entry in the book. In which case, we'll read that and move to the next one, and of course, navigate our way through. So it's not a linear book, which is kind of what appealed to me as a young as a child, actually. And it was a long story, but it was way up north, northern Canada, and on a summer trip, and saw this in a bookshop, and this was probably in grade 3 and grade 4 for me. Fell in love with the idea behind it. Actually, hold on one second. This is the book that actually I bought. Looked crazy amazing, and we'll read this another time. But this is the one that got me going, and then there was a separate kind of how to make and run your own adventures, which I got into, also the Fighting Fantasy series. And then, shortly after that, found Dungeons and Dragons, and well, that's been over a 30-year journey for me as well. So, all right, let's get into this. And if you're watching in the chat, feel free to chime in, say hello. Chat should appear on the screen, and get to it. All right, welcome to the Citadel of Chaos. Thank you, Peter G, for giving this to the used bookstore, for which I could purchase it for $1.95. All right. Deep inside the Citadel of Chaos, the dread sorcerer Balthus Dire is plotting and scheming the downfall of the good folk of the Vale of Willow. His battle plans are laid, his awesome army equipped, and the attack is surely imminent. Summoned by a desperate plea for help, you are the Vale of Willow's only hope. Star pupil of the Grand Wizard of Yore and Master of Magic, only you can undertake a mission which strikes at the very heart of Balthus Dire's nightmare world. Who knows what monstrous creatures await there? Steve Jackson has created a thrilling adventure of sword and sorcery for you, for us, with an elaborate combat system, a dazzling array of spells to use in a score sheet to record your gains and losses. All you need are 2 dice, a pencil and eraser, and a Twitch account, and a computer, and all the other sweet stuff that comes along with that. Many dangers lie ahead, and your success is by no means certain. Powerful adversaries are ranged against you, and often your only choice is to kill or be killed. Steve Jackson is the co-founder with Ian Livingston of the hugely successful Games Workshop chain. Now, of course, this book came out in 1983, published by Puffin, and Games Workshop is obviously still around. But these books are, some are hard to find, some are not, some are getting remakes, some are getting digital remakes, but we're going to read through this nice paper copy that I got here. All right, let us begin. So, there's a quick thing that we're going to do in the fighting section. Normally, it can be a fairly long and involved process of rolling my attack value, the creature's attack value, little shadow play here. And it goes back and forth until stamina gets depleted. Now, this is not necessarily a all-day stream. So what I want to do is we're going to abridge this a little bit by simplifying the combat. We're going to see how it goes to begin with. We're going to do one-shot kills for us, whereas creatures can continue to hurt us. And I'll explain the combat when we get to it a little bit more. All right. So the first thing we need to do is actually, we need to create our stats. And skill, stamina, and luck are the 3 stats that we're going to roll for, and I'm going to update these things on our score sheet here. So first one we're going to do is skill. That's 1d6. 4. All right, so a skill of 10 is pretty good on average. Could have been worse. Skill of 10. Okay, stamina is 2d6 plus 12. All right, 7 plus 12 is 19. Pull up my World of Warcraft that real quick. Stamina is 19. And luck is 1 die. And we'll count that as a 5. 5 plus 6. So 11. Pretty lucky, actually. There we go. So now with those skills generated, I'm not going to go back. I picked some spells earlier. This is an interesting book in that you can actually use magic. You roll a die. I pre-rolled that to pick some spells. I pre-picked them based on what I thought would be good, but here's the ones that are available. Creature Copy, ESP, Fire, Fool's Gold, Illusion, Levitation, Luck, Shielding, Skill, Stamina, Strength, Weakness. Of course, our equipment. 0 gold, because we're poor and destitute. We have sword, leather armor, and a lantern, and a keen sense of adventure. I love when I come across these books and I see that they've been used, because some kid, much like myself many years ago, had a good time doing this. I don't know that they use it for much else. I quickly moved away from using the in-book sheets to ones that I used to write out by hand because it was easier to track rather than flipping back and forth the entire time. Oh my goodness. All right, you get to listen to me read a little bit here. The lawful good folk of the Vale of Willows have lived for some 8 years in awe and fear of the demi-sorcerer Balthus Dire. In awe, since his power is truly awesome, and in fear ever since word leaked from his domain that his ambitious plans of conquest were to commence on the Vale itself. A faithful half-elf sent on a spying mission in the Black Tower came galloping back from the Vale 3 days ago with a frantic warning. From within the caverns of crag and rock, Balthus Dire had recruited an army of chaotics, and was preparing them to attack the Vale within the week. The good King Solomon was a man of action. Messengers were sent throughout the Vale that day to prepare defenses and to summon the menfolk to action. I'm sure there was lots of awesome ladyfolk too. Just folk in general, let's say that. Riders had also been sent to the great forest of Yore to warn the half-elves that lived there and to make an appeal for allied forces. King Solomon was also a wise man. He knew well that the news would inevitably reach the Grand Wizard of Yore, and while sorcerer and a white sorcerer of great power who lived deep within the forest. The wizard was old and would not last through the battle of this magnitude. But he schooled a number of young magicians, and perhaps one of his students in the magic arts with courage and ambition would aid the king and his subjects. You are the star pupil of the Grand Wizard of Yore. He has been a difficult master, and your own impatience has often gotten the better of you. Perhaps a little too headstrong, you left immediately for Salomon's court. The king welcomed you enthusiastically and explained his plan. The battle would be avoided without bloodshed if Balthus were to be assassinated before his army could be amassed. So you've gone from wizard's apprentice to assassin already, which I like. Like that badass tone. The mission ahead of you is extremely perilous. Balthus Dire is surrounded in his citadel by a multitude of appalling creatures. That's pretty judgmental. Though magic is your strongest weapon, there will be times when you must rely on your sword to survive. King Solomon has briefed you on your mission and warned you of the dangers that lie ahead. One way through the citadel is the best for you to take. If you discover it, you will be successful with a minimum of personal risk. It may take several trips to find the easiest way through. You leave the Vale of Willow on the long hike to the Black Tower. At the foot of the hill of crag and rock, you see its outline against the dark sky. The sun sets. As twilight turns to darkness, you start your climb up the hill towards that forbidding shape silhouetted against the night sky. The citadel is less than an hour's climb. Some distance from its walls you stop to rest, a mistake, as it seems a fearful spectre from which there is no escape. The hairs on your neck prickle as you look towards it. But you are ashamed of your fears. With grim resolve, you march onward towards the main gate, where you know guards will be waiting. You consider your options. You have already thought about claiming to be an herbalist, come to treat a guard with a fever. You could pose as a trader or an artisan, perhaps a carpenter. You could even be a nomad seeking shelter for the night. As you ponder the possibilities and the yarns that you would have to spin to the guards, you reach the main trail leading up to the gates. 2 lanterns burn on either side of the portcullis. You hear muffled grunts as you approach, and 2 misshapen creatures step forward. On the left stands an ugly creature with the head of a dog and the body of a great ape, flexing its powerful arms. Its opposite number is indeed its opposite, with the head of an ape and a large body of a large dog. Hey Trasherama, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the party. The latter guard approaches you on all fours. Okay, let's check this picture out. The illustrations in these books are like part of the fun of this. Love it. The amount of detail that goes into it. It's so much fun. Alright, so this ape dog, not the dog ape, stops some meters in front of you, raises itself on its hind legs, and addresses you. What story will you opt for? Will you pose as an herbalist? Will you claim to be a tradesman? Or will you ask for shelter for the night? Alright, so this is the part where we throw it out to Twitch here, to the chat. If anybody's got a suggestion, I'll certainly take it, because, you know, we're all playing this together. It's only the first choice. What could possibly go wrong, right? 2/3 of them lead to death. I'll take a moment to sip my tea. If I don't hear back in a couple seconds, I know there's a delay on the Twitch, but we'll move forward. So speak now or forever hold your peace. There'll be lots of other choices too, so you don't have to make a choice now. It's all good. We got enough skill to get her going. All right. Well, let me see. Herbalist claiming to a fever. Tradesman asks for a shelter. I'm all for shelter. Okay, Crash Armor. Let's do shelter. Turn to 20. The ape dog tells you that no one is allowed into the Black Tower after dark. You'll have to look elsewhere for shelter. You may either resign yourself to a fight, its ass, or you may pick up a stone and cast a fool's gold spell on it, offering them a nugget of gold as a bribe to let you in. Deduct a fool's gold spell from your spells if you use it. Do I have fool's gold? I did not choose fool's gold, so that option is not available to us, unfortunately. Damn. Okay, so there's no other option. Straight into the fight. 288. We're gonna get brutalized in the first entry here. The two creatures advance. The ape dog attacks you first, followed by the dog ape. Will you cast a spell or stand and fight? I can cast strength or levitation, or I can fight them in turn. If I kill them both, then we're good to go. So, what do you think? I have both strength and levitation, 2 of each, so I can kind of bust that out. Let's see. Their skill 6 and 7 against our 10, and stamina 4 and 6. You know what? I mean, they're guards. They didn't attack us straight out, but we're gonna have to get a little dirty here. So you know what? Let's fight. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so what's gonna happen is I'm gonna roll 2 dice for fighting them in turn. So I'm gonna take the ape dog on first. That's an 8 plus their 7 is 15, which means I need to get a 5 or higher on my roll. That's looking good. I got a 6. All right, so in that means I totally axe the ape dog. You know, if I cut both their heads off, maybe I can reattach them. There you go. Alpha says we cast for sure. Okay, so again, we're using the modified rules just so we can get through as much of this book as possible. The fights tend to be a little bit slower. So we're doing one-hit kills. Might get a little bit tougher later on. Okay, dog ape, you're up next. Slightly lower skill, but higher stamina. Doesn't really matter in this case. Shit. Okay, so we're going 9 plus 6 is 15. Again, I guess I need another 5. Another 6. All right, the Oracle Crystal Ball. Woo! So I killed them both in that battle, so we're going to jump over to page 32. Stepping over the bodies, you approach the gate and call for the gatekeeper, hiding in the shadows as he approaches. He sees the bodies and comes out to investigate, whereupon you nip inside the gate and lock him out. Oh, because we are sneaky assassinated. All right, 251. You walk forward into a spacious open courtyard surrounded by large walls. Various lights are burning and groups of figures are shuffling around in the darkness. In the center of the courtyard is a large monument of some kind, perhaps a fountain. Looking across the yard, you can see what appears to be the main entrance to the tower. Will you creep around the wall towards the tower, stride boldly across the courtyard, tiptoe through the shadows towards one of the groups? That's interesting because, we're not supposed to be in here at night. So I wonder if they'll just assume that we're meant to be here if we're actually here. Oh, you know what? Crash, we also have to name our character. So I've got the unnamed up there. I mean, how foolhardy can I be? I was going to call him Flibbity Gibbet, but if there's any suggestions for a name as well, I'll take those into consideration. All right. So, you know what? I'm tempted to use a little bravado here. Striding boldly across the courtyard. Give it a second if anybody wants to chime in. Don't raise a ruckus. All right, I mean that's good. So we can creep or tiptoe in that case. Like, do we want to approach the groups, or do we want to go around the tower? Okay, I'm going to take the ruckus. Yeah, I'm curious what these groups are doing, though. I think maybe 321. Tiptoe through the shadows towards one of the groups. All right, let's do that. 3, 2, 1. Cautiously, you keep well out of sight. You creep through the darkness around the edge of the courtyard. There are two groups of creatures in front of you. To the right, you can see two human-like figures talking under a torch fastened to the wall. To the left, a group of 4 creatures of varying shapes and sizes are sitting around a fire, eating. Will you approach the 2 by the torch, or the group around the fire?